ladies and gentlemen, to the Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me, as always, my cheeky
chappy
co-host, fresh off a entertaining diving weekend.
Absolutely fantastic diving weekend. We took our girls to Phoenix Lake, south of Richmond, and had a phenomenal experience getting our two girls, Georgia and Charlotte, certified for scuba. And it just went gloriously well, you know. And the facility, by the way, in Phoenix Lake, I believe, was it was sublime. I was blown away. I didn't turn up with my gear. I just went, I'm not diving in any damn lake, because I've done enough lake diving to know that it's a miserable experience. One of my certification dives back in England, I had to break the ice to get in to do my certification dives. And that was a miserable experience. Why I thought getting certified in December was a good idea was just, well, there we go. It was youth and exuberance. I just thought, go and get it done. I've got to break ice to get in. And I've only got a 7mm wetsuit, not a dry suit. Oh, Lord. So I didn't turn up with my gear for the girls' diving experience this weekend, thinking it was just going to be a shitty lake. Phoenix Lake and the guys at Aquatrex in Salem just blew the lid off it. You know, if you want to get your kids certified, that's where you need to go. Todd was a fantastic instructor. Even though I'm an instructor, as is my wife, we're no longer able to teach our kids officially. But, you know, we've got thousands of dives between us, but you've got to put that in the hands of someone else, which is a good thing for a teaching experience.
Well, I'm sure when you used to dive, they had the hose that stuck to the back of the device, and somebody up on the boat was pumping your air in.
You're such a wanker, Billy. But yeah, that was a really cheap shot. But you know, this can only come back and haunt you.
It always does.
Exactly. So you know, we had a great experience. The girls are certified to dive. That now puts me in a position of, oh shit! Now we need to go to the Caribbean, the Bahamas, where we used to live, and go and have a really great diving vacation. So that's now on the cards. So yeah, I mean, this is what we should be teaching our kids. You know, life experience, expand the horizon. You know, getting your kids diving is one of the best ways that you can do it. You know, along with playing sports. Oh, dare I say competitive sports. Anyway.
I agree.
You know.
A lot of other things they should be getting involved in as well that we just fall on. We'll get into that here.
But it takes a commitment.
Yes, absolutely. Like anything
takes
else.
A little bit of coin, and it's money well spent. You know, you're investing in their future as much as having good fun yourself. You know, so I'm all over it. So I'm looking forward to going back to the Caribbean. You know, my grassroots, and having a dive vacation, and tearing it up.
Do they have a walker that can get down to the bottom of the sea so you can?
If I could reach across that table now, Billy, I'd give you such a bitch slap.
Well, I'm a little bitter. My son's starting to speak quite a bit more, and he's starting to pick up on quite a few words. And yesterday, I believe he picked up on hello, but he said it with an English accent.
Oh, glory days!
Hello.
Hello, Governor.
And I looked at my wife. I said, absolutely not.
That's funny. I've managed to pollute another member of Appalachia.
I am not having my child start off with that garbled dialect in this household. He will speak Appalachian American, and he will like it. So we had to sit here and...
There you've laid the gauntlet down. I'm going to make sure he comes up to you one of these days and says, hello, Governor, how you doing?
Oh, I'm sure my kids are going to be calling me wanker and every derogatory English name in the book.
What?
Y'all are so close to each other, sometimes you get confused. And kind of like us in North Carolina, you know, it's the lines are quite blurred.
They're blurred.
Quite blurred. Anyway,
very much so.
We had a pretty good weekend. I had... shout out to Rocky Mount Burger Company and Brian and all them down there, and especially Trinity. Now, look, if you ever got an event you want going on down there, call up Brian, say, I want to use the upstairs room. Tell them, you know.
The barrel room.
Tell them you want, Trinity in there. She doesn't work. And I don't know, she doesn't work there anymore technically, But I think she still stays on the roll for any time we have an event up there. She always comes up there. She's always really good to everybody we have. On point with the drinks. The food's always right there on the spot. She doesn't screw up orders, and she's a really hard worker. So we had her for the event. My mom's birthday party, we surprised her. Everybody thought she picked up on it, but back gave her a heart attack. That was great. So big shout out to them and everything they did for us. All the food was great. Appetizers laid out for everybody. The service was excellent. Again, of course, we know Brian's always been such a huge help for us. And, of course, you're over in Rocky Mount. It's 467 Franklin Street, right across from the Harvester in the early inn. Go check it out.
Now, I hope he's actually, I believe, spoiler alert, I believe he's looking to use the barrel room to expand on his cooking experience and have a little bit more of a different experience, maybe in the barrel room. And I think he's going to incorporate some of that with KC Farms and some of their lamb. So, watch this space, because things are beginning to evolve where we're looking to support the local producers, which is a big thing. It's one of the big things that we do, is to support local producers, the community. So watch this space. I didn't want to break that, necessarily before Brian does, but I know it's in the pipeline.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's absolutely fantastic.
And also, a big shout out to our guest next week. We're going to have on the show Buddy Hancock over there to Rocky Mountain Smokehouse. Went there this past weekend and ate as well. And every time,
you mean the Appalachian Smokehouse?
Yeah, that's what. What's sort of refer. I should remember that and say that every time, because he didn't even take our suggestion and put it up as one of his options. But yeah, the Appalachian Smokehouse here in Rocky Mount. That's previously Buddy's Barbecue. We're going to have him on next week. And I went in there on Friday night, and I think Carly Ray, that's the name of the girl playing. She did an awesome job. My daughter's up there with harmonica playing next to Bill Fuller for one of their songs and just having a blast. So I really like those local artists, because I know it can be kind of annoying if kids are running up there bawling you and trying to play music, but they're so sweet to her, and she's such a big fan of them, like always cheering and stuff. So shout out to all of them, and everybody knows where the Rocky Mount Smokehouse is, 480 Tan Yard Road right there in Rocky Mount. Go give Buddy a holler. We're going to be talking to him again on this show next week. As far as anything else is concerned, Simon officially does have Twitter now, so go follow him at Simon on Tap. Mainly, we got him on there for the Twitter Spaces kind of deal, or the X Spaces, whatever it's called now, so we can connect with, Spike and Brandon and Chip and all these people kind of instantaneously. We can have a little discussion. Maybe one night we have a talk about what does, the state of Appalachia look like. If the Appalachian region of Virginia broke away, what does a secession look like? How does that... just to have a good educational talk about it, just to throw around some ideas. So you can go check him out there. And, of course, us, it's at Get On Tap. And a lot of our engagements start to move towards X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it now. Facebook, it's ridiculous. We got 10,000 followers on there, and I post something and can't get any engagement. I think they're shadow banning us like crazy. So most of our engagement you can find over there. And we're going to start taking those Twitter Spaces. They can be recorded. And like I said, we can reach so many people in just an instant moment. So instead of doing the whole Zoom thing, we just record basically phone conversations. We'll have Simon, us, Spike, all these people. And then we're going to move those over to our Patreon page. So patreon.com/getontap for our subscribers. $3 a month minimum. You can give more if you want to. You'll start getting those Twitter Spaces. I got a book from our author Philip Gay Gibbs. I'm going to be giving away to one of our subscribers only here in the next week or so. So it's a good thing to get over there and do. You're helping support us. We're putting this money back in the community with our time and effort. Like you said, trying to get local vendors hooked up with local vendors and sell local stuff and keep the money here. And okay, speaking of all that, we're going to get to our guest today, because he's going to be representing something that nobody would ever accuse me of being a part of, and that's hiking. But hiking, not just anything, but he's somebody that's been all over the Appalachian Trail. And since we are the Appalachian Podcast, I think we are long overdue to talk about one of the things that probably represents this region, good God, there it goes again, more than anything else, and that would probably be the trail. So being joined here today by William Moran. William, thank you so much for joining us in our little corner of Rocky Mount.
Oh, yes. Greetings and salutations.
Yes, indeed. And we found out that William is a former paratrooper, and kudos to you, my man.
Oh, yeah.
Jumping out of a fully serviceable aircraft is a delight.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and there's an increasing number of us have partaken in that madness, and it's absolutely glorious.
I was down at Fort Benning back in February. A good friend of mine that I served with in 3rd of the 505th, his son graduated from basic infantry training, and we went down for his airborne school graduation.
Awesome.
It had been 29 years, and it's good to see them. They're all little dicks, dedicated infantry combat killers.
There you go.
They're an extension of us. They're the same.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so. And it does require a certain talent to jump out of a serviceable aircraft with how many 100+ pounds of kit?
Oh, easy. Yeah.
You know, that to me is the epitome of someone who is going way beyond what they should be expected to do. You know what I mean?
Well, you get in there with good intentions, and when you find yourself up there, I mean, honestly, you may be scared, you may be concerned, you know, whatever, but you're usually right with your God, you're square.
Yep.
And you're going to go. One, you don't want anyone to think you're a coward, and two, everybody around you depends on you, so you got to go. And those are people, I still stay in contact with every last one of them. They're my brothers, I love them, you know.
Yep.
Help you hide the body, right?
Oh, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I actually had the experience of jumping with a young girl who had never flown in a plane before, and I thought that this was poetic. She did her first parachute jump, having never flown before, and she could say at that point in time that she'd flown and had never landed in an aircraft.
Yeah.
And I thought that took some kahunas. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, wow.
I think there were 5 states in the Union that I parachuted into before I'd driven into them, and 3 foreign countries. You know, so it's...
Yep.
Yeah, but that was just a mode of transport to the ground, right? I mean, your job was something totally different, but yeah, it was fun, you know?
Absolutely. The view when you are gliding down, maybe at a velocity that you didn't quite appreciate before you hit the ground, the view when you're jumping out of an aircraft, you can't match it.
No,
You know, and that initial, right, okay, I'm out. Did the static line work? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, check, shoot. And then you can enjoy the view.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I loved it. And I'm not going to say I'd do it again. But it was very, very fond memories of being able to do that.
Oh, yeah, and I'm still a paratrooper. I'm just not on active jump status. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't change, right?
No.
I really enjoyed it 100%.
You're a para, and that's it.
That's it, yeah. Irregular.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't have made it in the regular Army. We were allowed to be undisciplined. You know, they trusted us. We didn't move in lockstep. We wanted to be there. We had esprit de corps. We shined our boots. We cut our hair. We pressed our uniforms in garrison. And in the field, we were tight. We kept up with our gear most of the times, you know. But even the knuckleheads, right? Even the worst one in the group was always usually better than you would find anywhere else. They were good people. You know, given that, it was nice to be part of that.
Now, I know the British Army in that regard, and I'm sure there's that same esprit de corps, is that they consider themselves, there are 2 elite regiments that can be broken down, and you can further expand on it, but they were the paratroopers, right? The Red Berets,
yes, sir.
And then there were the Green Berets, the Royal Marines.
Yes.
Anyone else was considered a crap hat.
Pretty much, yeah. We called like straight leg infantry, and not taking anything away. You know,
not taking anything away.
Yeah,
it was you had reached a point where you had earned your Red Beret, your Maroon Beret, your Green Beret,
yeah.
And anyone else who didn't have one was a crap hat.
Yeah, I mean, and
that's how it rolls.
It has to.
Absolutely,
you know, that esprit de corps comes from somewhere. You know,
absolutely.
And swagger, whatever you want to call it. I went to the Charlotte race last year. down in Charlotte, NASCAR. And they had Appreciation Day. And there were soldiers, sailors, airmen everywhere. And I looked down and all those people, sea of people. And I spotted the Paris.
There you go. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay.
They have a swagger.
I see the wings. You know, I see the globe.
That double A.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. And, you know, that's an appreciation from within.
Yeah, it was nice. They told us what to do. And when you went out the door, you went and did it. You know, you figured it out. LGOPs, little groups of paratroopers. You know, they gave you your task. It was awesome.
Yep, that's how it should be, I think. I mean, I wouldn't want it. If I was in, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be a small cog in a big wheel. Be a big cog in a big wheel.
Yeah. Give everything. Yeah. I found it, I don't want to say easy, but it was pretty apparent to me. Most people were happy meeting the standard. And usually the standards, the military was the one place, at least when I was in, I could say that if you didn't meet the standards, exceptions weren't made. You didn't get to play. You packed up and you left. You went somewhere else where you could be useful. A lot of other organizations I've worked for, that's not the case. They'll bend the standards and you promote people to get rid of them, you know. Very common in government.
That side, but yet, don't even go there. There's a can of worms. Boom, you open that off the bat. Good man.
Oh, yeah, well, call spade a spade, right?
Yep, you're damn straight. You're damn straight. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your experiences through your hiking and trails throughout the US, and then maybe come back to, the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
So I'd like to hear where you have been, and then come back maybe to your experiences with your Appalachian Trail. But we should be sharing, because that's something that I know we should be promoting a lot more, because it's an amazing trail. But go through some of your experiences where you have been, clambering and hiking and camping, and just tell us about some of the shit that you've got into.
Yeah, I would love to. I really would.
Go for it, man.
Through hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2021. It was 2,193.1 miles. Most people will try to attempt it, 5-6 months. I took 10 months and 6 days. It was
slow is pro.
I took my time. If there was a waterfall I liked, I could sit beside of it, but I started, like I said, January 2nd in the dead of winter. Now, what got me there was about 49 years of living, really. I had no intentions. It was never on my bucket list. Really didn't care about it. The longest trail I'd ever hiked was in Denali State Park in Alaska in 1999, and it was a 37-mile trail. And that was it.
That's pretty short by anybody else's standards.
It is, and now... go ahead.
Not by my standards. I'm usually looking at 4 to 8 mile hikes if I'm lucky, round trip, and they might have to bring in a gurney for me the last mile or so.
But Denali has... What time of year did you do that?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. Probably around June, July. But I remember the first day we got up on the ridge line, and I was excited. There were 4 University of Anchorage, Alaska girls walking up behind us. I was like, cool, it'd be nice to meet some girls on trail. I was single, and a willy wah came through. That's a storm from the north. That's what they call it. And the temperature dropped. I had an old LL Bean tent at the time, and I got in my sleeping bag. The hail was huge, and it just laid the tent down. It shredded their tent, and to my displeasure, they went off the mountain. They had to. I hiked that with my sister's ex-boyfriend. He showed up, and I had some leave, so I was stationed in Fort Rich, and we went and did it. But yeah, the Appalachian Trail. So
how arduous can the Appalachian Trail be?
Oh, it's difficult. Yeah, it's I'm trying to remember the equivalent. So Mount Everest is 29,029 feet. If you complete, north to south or south to north, the entire Appalachian Trail, I think it's the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest from sea level to the top and back down 14 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a cumulative.
That's significant.
Yeah, and I'm horrible with numbers when they pop into my head. I spit them out. But like Klingman's Dome is the highest point on the AT, and I want to say it's 6,680 some feet. Somewhere around there. It's 6,000.
It's getting up there.
It is. I went up that thing. I think I entered the park January 22nd, and it was pretty rough. But what got me there? 2020, I was disillusioned. Hated my job. Was living in an apartment. I'd checked out. I'd come home, close the blinds, turn the music up or the TV, and then I'd get bombed. I'd get pissed drunk or whatever I needed to do to self-medicate, if you will. And just wasn't happy. And a couple weeks before, a friend of mine had come into town and had wanted to go up and see Audie Murphy's memorial off the AT. And we did the little day hike up there. And for the first time in a long time, it was quiet. It was above everything. And I thought, that really made an impact on me because the world had gotten really noisy. I had done everything they told me to do to be happy. I went to school. I did everything. And here I was. It wasn't a midlife crisis. I just truly was not happy.
I think a lot of people can probably empathize.
Oh, yeah. So
I think there's an enormous amount of people who can empathize with that if they're honest with themselves.
Oh, yeah. So I got pissed drunk on rye whiskey one night and woke up the next morning and there was a cocked handgun laying beside me.
Ooh.
I had blacked out and passed out before I could pull the trigger. I put the hammer down and got that thing away from me. It scared the hell out of me, and I laid there, and I had the realization that, man, this isn't working. So I picked up my phone, and I said, hey, Google, how far is the Appalachian Trail? And it hit me with statistics. And it told me when everybody started and the percentage, it was like 76% dropout. Or I hate to use the word failure because a lot of things happen. People run out of money, they get injured, It takes a lot to step off and go do that. It's a huge commitment. And so anyway, got a little heavy there.
No, but that's that's how that
it's the truth.
Share it.
Yeah, it's the truth. And if it can help someone. So in that moment, I decided. Now keep in mind, I was pretty much a shut-in. I had dropped my hours down to part-time. I was watching my savings go away. I was writing it out. I was burning it in. And when in that moment, I decided to do the AT. And I got up, I opened my blinds, I took a shower, I drove to Home Depot, and I bought boxes and tape and Sharpies, and I came home, and I boxed up my bookshelf first, and I just kept boxing up shit, and I pulled up my laptop, I typed my letter of resignation. I sat on it for a couple of weeks. But, I started looking at gear, and there's a great YouTuber by the name of Dixie. I've never met her, but she seems to be a very genuine person, and not bad on the eyes. Of course, she messed up and got married. It
happens.
She didn't know.
Us, right?
She didn't know. She was going to attempt the Arizona Trail earlier this year, and she pulled the plug. She had some issues getting started, and but I was on the Arizona Trail earlier this year, and I was looking forward to meeting her, and just didn't work out. But I watched her videos. I didn't do a whole lot of research. I really didn't know what I was getting into. Like I had never. What was that movie, A Walk in the Woods, Bill Bryce, his story? I didn't know any of that. I didn't know about the ice cream challenge. I didn't know.
So you just went up and did it?
Yeah, when I hit Springer Mountain, there's a rock with a logbook underneath, and it's a journal. They're in shelters. They're in a lot of locations. And I think I wrote, I have failed at just about everything else in life. Let's see if I can do this. All right. I was down, man. I was down.
Yeah.
But I also knew that I could do it.
That's the power coming out.
Yeah, I had a lady ask me, she said, someone told me you're going to do the AT. And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, how do you know you can do it? And I said, because I decided to.
Yeah.
A statute mile is 5,280 feet. If you will yourself to put one foot in front of the other, no matter the load you carry, you can do it. And I went at it with that approach, but now I went crazy out there a few times. I threw my poles. I screamed. I saw things, whether they were real or imagined, but perception is reality. I saw them, and they guided me. but I also found atonement. I'll throw religious terms around, but I went out a very broken and angry man. And because of those beautiful mountains, I was able to look out. Now, granted, it was winter, but I can paint the leaves on the trees, but I saw the hard lines. And whatever name you want to give, God or the Creator.
Oh, that's beautifully put.
Oh, absolutely. Because I had went through life, a lot of loss, a lot of trauma and things like that. You end up thinking God's vengeful. We're actually taught in some churches that he's vengeful, or he can be. And I think that's a good message too. He's only going to put up with so much if you believe and that's what you want. I'm not professing to be a Christian, but what I needed was forgiveness from something greater than I could forgive myself for. But I looked out and I realized that God had created this for all life, not just me. And he couldn't be mean. And in that moment, I felt so guilty. I hit my knees.
Yeah.
I flattened myself and I said, please forgive me. I was. And when I stood up, I started walking. And I realized that all the things that had consumed me, once I let go of the hate and the guilt and the shame and all the stuff, whether it's real or imagined, however I'd attached it, I could start indexing and cataloging my thoughts. I could actually look at them and say, okay, this is why it impacted me. This is why I couldn't get over it. And then I could file it away. Hiking is transcendental. You can't force yourself to meditate. You cannot shut your mind off. You create the very chatter you're trying to alleviate, right? People don't meditate because they have the answers. They meditate because they're fucked up, Yeah,
that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
That's very deep because, there's every now and again, meditation would do you good, Simon. You're a bit highly strung. I'm a bit aggressive. I get where you're coming from with that.
You're able to move through space and time. There are so many times when I get walking, and I probably average like a 2 mile an hour pace, and that's over. I think I've got about 4,000 miles hiked now. I did a through hike of the AT in 2021. 2022, I put down about 1,000. And then I just did 700 on the Arizona. I got like 100 miles dangling, the Grand Canyon, and then 75 miles to the Utah border. And I'll have that done. And that'll be in a few days, hopefully. So
right on.
Oh, yeah. But there's always a trail somewhere. But yeah, it benefits you. It benefits anybody if you're able. And that's,
do you think it's is it a personal thing that you can get redemption, or do you think that it can be a shared thing?
Oh, it's fantastic. It showed me humanity. It showed me charity. It made me
you're in
grateful.
your lonesome. You did this independently, right?
I did. No, I did meet people that you hike with, and
well, of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah, but normally, like hiking with someone, very rarely do you actually go lockstep.
Right.
You have a place you're going to get to, a camping area,
and then just
shelter.
chill out. Off you go.
Yeah, you hang out with them. You go into town. You have experience. You go do your resupply. It's and there's actually a term for that kind of makes me sick in my mouth, but they call them tramilies, trail families.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you've got to use a word.
Yeah, if you got to use it. I love tramilies, right? And
of course, because they're not permanent.
They're not, but it's amazing how many of those friendships endure after the trail. And if you're in a long distance hiking, you eventually end up meeting the same people on different trails. I met 4 people that I knew off the Appalachian Trail on the Arizona Trail. First day was 2 of them. Yeah,
that's weird.
Eagle and Voodoo. We probably hiked 120 miles together. They were younger kids in their 30s, and it got to a point where, they wanted to test it and push it, and I didn't want to get hurt, so I'll see you guys down trail or somewhere else, Hike your own hike is the term.
This is becoming increasingly attractive to me for some bizarre reason. I've always said to my wife, Heather, am I too old to do the Appalachian Trail?
No.
I don't think so.
Do they have... Are they handicapped? Do they have ramps and things?
I knew you were going to do that.
You are such a shithead.
Well, he's going to need to get his little scooter.
Yeah.
To some of those peaks and.
Hell no.
It's a footpath. It's officially a footpath.
There you go. I mean, it's come in and out of my sphere over the last how many years, I don't know. But I've often thought that Appalachian Trail, I'm thinking about it.
It was built by sadists for masochists.
Superb.
Yeah. But no, I tell you, like, just the overall, like, usually when I started at Springer Mountain, I was 267 pounds. By the time I hit New York proper, I was 198 pounds. I had food because there's delis in New York, right? So I had calories. I could hike 18 miles a day, set up my little camp, put on my trail runners, and I would run 3 miles back and do a 3-mile run. I was doing 49 years old. You know, you have no choice. Like the Arizona Trail, I started at 250 pounds. I was a tub of goo. By the time I finished at the 700-mile mark, I'd lost 50 pounds.
Now, that should appeal to a lot of people.
You know, it's kind of extreme, though. That's 50 pounds in 2 months. You know, but
of course it's extreme, but that tells you how much baggage that you're carrying through excess weight, water, belly fat.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that good stuff. So if it's extreme, it's not extreme because what you're doing through exercise is getting down to a weight that's where you should be.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I advocate for it. It's just you get to a point where it's so hard to put in what you need. You know, you're always at a deficit.
That's that calorie count, the protein count, the carb, exactly. So now you know you've got to be putting in at least 3,000 calories a day. At least 3,000 calories a day.
You know, if you do it in the wintertime and you're yourself. It goes up. You know.
But that's why they created bacon.
Yeah. A lot of instant mashed potatoes, a lot of Spam. You know, I mean, everybody's got their own diet.
Corned beef. Oh, what a blessing that is.
I got bit by that tick, the alpha gal. I'm beef resistant. And I've been that way for years.
You know,
they say acupuncture can change that.
That's what I've been hearing lately. There's certain treatments for alpha gal that if you catch it early enough, and acupuncture, funnily enough, is one of them.
Really?
So yeah, I mean,
there's one in Lynchburg who specializes in. I can't remember the name, but if you want to look them up,
Dr. Payne here in Rocky Mount is looking into treating alpha gal with acupuncture.
Yeah.
I don't know how far he's got. But he's the what do you do? The bone crackers. What are they?
Chiropractors.
He's looking into that. He's a super guy. I mean, he's busted me and stretched me, and I was one of the guys that went bloody what are they again? Chiropractors. I was so anti chiropractors, it was just ridiculous. Rugby player, jumped out of aeroplane, scuba diver, bloody anyway, whatever. And it was just my wife is saying, well, you may want to go and get cracked by a chiropractor. I'm like, what absolute nonsense that is. It's not nonsense.
It helped.
The guy knows exactly what he's doing, and chiropractors do have, even though they don't have the respect from the medical community, which I find obscene, but we'll come on to that at a later point in this podcast, because I know you've got some very valid opinions about modern medicine.
Oh, yeah.
And having a chiropractor on board. These guys are doctors, they're medically trained. And then to be snuffed by the medical community, quite frankly, is absolutely fucking offensive. You know?
I have a friend.
They're still doctors.
I have a friend of mine who's a chiropractor outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, Glenn Peterson. I've known him since we were teenagers. I had a dislocated shoulder. Went to what's called a government hospital in Salem, Virginia.
I'm sorry.
They couldn't put my shoulder back in the ER. They wanted to send me to physical rehab, right? I went to my friend and he popped it back in. I mean, you know what I mean? And showed me the exercises to strengthen it. And we'll hide behind our masks and play on our phone.
That's it. I mean, I've dislocated a shoulder. I think this was down in Turks and Caicos. And I may have had a couple of drinks.
It happens.
Anyway, I dislocated my shoulder, and I'm looking at the guy that picked me up, and I said, "Look, I've got a dislocated shoulder. I know it's dislocated. I've done it a few times. Rugby will dislocate shoulders rapidly." And I said, "Just hold it here, hold that, and then be very forceful about how you put it back in, and just do it quick. Boom, problem solved.
I can tell you the Mel Gibson method doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work.
No, that's don't.
You've got to know the angle of the dangle.
The angle of I can respect the angle of the dangle.
The angle of the dangle.
Yeah, because once that muscle, once they lock down, it's no way it's going to go in.
Well, if it desiccates up, that's a bigger problem. I may be wrong with this, but when it desiccates down, whichever one is the bigger problem, I didn't have.
Yeah.
So I had the lesser problem of it either desiccating up or desiccating down. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not a medical. I hike.
Right. So, I mean, it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But addressing it at the time, I went, I've desiccated my shoulder. I mean, I may be pissed drunk, but I've desiccated my shoulder. Put the fucking thing back in.
Yeah.
And he did it. And I said, just when you get hold of it, you'll feel it. And if I'm squealing and wallowing, ignore me.
Just fix it.
But when I know it, I could feel it going. I'm just like, there it is. Pop it in. Bang. Back in it went. And they were the medical facility was not. We can't put it back in. That tells me the medical facility was horse.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, I try not to be hard on people. I really, it's. Some people don't want to risk doing more damage, and if they're not comfortable doing that, I can respect that. I can tolerate pain and discomfort.
Yeah. That was very polite of you, by the way. Very polite. I'm just like, no, get the damn thing back in. Do not take me to an ER.
Yeah, I don't go unless I absolutely have to. But it's I don't know. I hate to complain.
So this is how long you say that took you 10 months?
Yes.
And you went south to north or north to south?
I went from Springer Mountain, Georgia in the south to Mount Katahdin in Maine.
Okay. And that was, when did you start?
Where or when?
When?
January 2nd.
Okay, so January in Georgia is probably a very pleasant time to do it.
I think I hit 22 snowstorms or what I would consider snow events by the time I hit the Virginia border. So it was a pretty bad winter.
Ooh.
Yeah, we actually, by the time I made it to, I think it's Newfound Gap, the gap going over from Cherokee to, not Gatlinburg. Is it Gatlinburg? It's like Myrtle Beach of the mountains.
Yeah, it's Gatlinburg.
Gatlinburg, yeah. Yep. So by the time we got to Newfound Gap, I had gotten to Klingman's Dome, and there were no steps going up the spiral to the tower. And so I walked up there, and it was clear. I could see everything. And I can't remember. I think it was 3.5 or 4.5 miles to the pass. But about 2.5 miles from the gap, it started snowing. So I show up, and the Rangers are up there throwing everybody off the mountain. Like, you got to go. And I'm like, well, how do I get down? Will you guys take me? Like, oh, we got to go over here and do something. I'm like, well, he goes,
off you go then.
Yeah, he goes hitchhike. So,
oh, no.
I did. Yeah. Okay. I had no choice. I had to get off the mountain. I mean, I could have, I guess, retreated to the bathroom, but, it's, they're doing their job. So anyway, I complied. Finally, someone took pity on me, and I rode down the back of the pickup, right? So I got to Gatlinburg, and everything was expensive, right? And money's always an issue. You think all you're doing is going out and walking, but you have to think about your overall budget, food costs, shelter. Like, even hostels are cheap, but still cost money.
It's still money.
So I was going broke in Gatlinburg, and they'd closed the road, closed the park because of the snow.
Oh, crap. That's a no crap moment, right?
Yeah, especially when you're just in the middle of this walk and it's the only thing you have in your life, right?
Press on.
Yeah.
That's a para. That's a para.
Oh, yeah. So, now, to be fair, I don't recommend most people go tramping through mountains like that in the winter. I really don't, unless you have some training. And, I don't think I'm special or anything like that. I just figured I could do it, right? And I got enough sense about me. And,
and training.
Oh, absolutely. I was in an Arctic paratrooper unit, and so I've done all that. And I know you can't get wet from the outside in or the inside out. You can't sweat, but you got to move to stay warm. So I probably spent more times taking off and layering clothes throughout the day than anything else. Yeah. Well, I think my biggest day was 8 miles.
How did your feet suffer, because that's the biggest thing. You know, to me, it's all about dry socks.
Yeah, well, wet socks are fine, really. It's what it is a lot of people make the mistake of getting waterproof shoes or waterproof boots. That's not a real thing. It's only water resistant to a point, and then when it gets wet, it doesn't dry quick, and you develop blisters. And you know, I'm a big fan of changing socks and all that, but
as every light infantryman is.
Oh yeah, you have to. But no, blisters come. Honestly, I've gotten to the point now I get blisters and I'm not really even aware I have them. I just kind of don't pay attention to them.
Right.
They'll heal, and I don't do the moleskin. I don't, you just suck it up. But I think on the AT, I wore out 5 pairs of shoes. Trail runners. On the Arizona Trail, again, you're walking on sandpaper, lava. I wore out 4 pairs of shoes.
Wow.
I buy more shoes than most women, to be stereotypical.
You are the Imelda Marcos of the Appalachian Trail.
Absolutely. Just I need government funding, Somebody bought those shoes. It wasn't them.
That's the Imelda Marcos comment. I'm glad you got it.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. I think the difference is, though, is you buy your shoes, you wear them down, and then you discard of them, where as a woman, not mentioning any names or anybody I might be close to, might have about 2,000 pair, and you might, wear 6 different ones. I don't know what the other 2,000 pairs are doing in there. I guess they get whipped out once. Anyway,
there you go.
Not to.
Oh, that Daisy's going down the path we don't need to go down.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm witnessing a divorce.
Well, I just want to see. Maybe we'll just see if this person listens this far into it. I don't know if she's listening in a while, so I just dropped little breadcrumbs.
There we go.
Just to see, but that's. I think one of the big things about hiking, I don't think a lot of people can really appreciate, is the beauty. And I guess you could touch on a little bit earlier, but some of the things you see that you'll never get to see, even from a car, riding an interstate, you'll never, and so fewer people get out there and get on ATVs and stuff, which I know when you're running the trails in West Virginia, you can find some good spots, but I took my wife to go get engaged. I was telling you on the phone last week up Rocky Mountain National Park, Dream Lake. It's 7-6 mile round trip hike. Not the biggest thing in the world, but the views up there, things you get to see that are just spectacular. And between that, and the Grand Teton Mountains, sitting up and hiking through a valley. We hiked, 3 miles down the valley. I thought this is pretty good. And of course, this is in 10, 11, something like that. And I was pretty fat and out of shape, a lot worse than I am now. And the first 3 miles of breeze, I guess ain't too awful bad. The last 9/10 of a mile, it's uphill, but it should be all right. I damn nearly died because the air's so thin out there, and I was out of shape. But I finally made it to the top. I'm glad I didn't quit. It was a view like you just didn't want to come. I was like, you know what? Y'all can go back and watch a concert the next 2 nights. I would prefer just to sit up here and not go anywhere for a couple of days, because you're just looking and you see nothing. There are no houses, there are no cars, there are no people, there are no motorcycles. It's just, as far as the eye can see, peace and comfort.
It's amazing that everything is found in nothing.
Isn't that, and that's Lord's design. That is our Lord's design.
It's a paradox. What is balance? Balance is the center line between 2 extreme points. Think of a scale.
Yep.
If it's off balance, mountains usually win. You can spend all day climbing them and get to the top, and they won't let you stay. And you walk away, and I've successfully went over a bunch of them, and you get down the other side, and yeah, you made it, but kind of won, But it's nice to be out there. You become part of it. It's a long distance hike or a through hike. It's time slows down. A month equates to about a year. You move at a 2 mile an hour pace. Nothing, and everything means more. If you want a soda or a chicken nugget, and there's a McDonald's, it's in a town, but that bitch is 50 miles away.
Yeah,
that's a best tasting chicken nugget I'm ever going to have.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like I said, I touched on it, the generosity of people. So there's a term on the AT or on any trail, but they call it trail magic. And I've had it happen to me. I was in North Carolina, and I was coming up on a trailhead, coming down the mountain in a parking lot, and I was like, man, I wish I had a Pop-Tart. Just random, wish I had a Pop-Tart. Come down, and there's a pickup truck with a toolbox, and they're like a box of discount Ollie's Pop-Tarts. Or it's a flavor you don't really want, like Oreo or something. But man, that Pop-Tart was there. I had a buddy of mine bust a shoelace and say, man, I need a shoelace. You go about 0.2 of a mile on trail, you round the corner and there's a shoelace hanging in the tree. It's trail magic. It's rides that, you know, that you're not expecting. It's truly magic. It really is. That's all I can say.
That's super cool the way you've explained that.
So when you're traveling up and down the trail, what point of the Appalachian Trail is the most secluded? Like, what's the furthest away from a town? What's the furthest point from civilization? The least likely place you're ever going to, you know?
A lot of it depends on where you are and when you go. Obviously, around any of the areas that people can drive to, you know, overlooks like Blood Mountain in Georgia, Dragon's Tooth, McAfee Knob, you know, people are able to be within 8 miles of a beautiful site. So there's a lot of people.
Right.
Now, like when I started in Georgia in January, I think the longest I went without seeing another person was 10 days. You know, beautiful. There are sections that get hiked more than others. Like if you go up to New York near Bear Mountain, it's hard to stay on trail because people are everywhere scrambling and looking, and it just has a lot of people. So the trail gets skewed.
Right.
But there are sections in Virginia, coming up to Parisburg, like going to the backside of Dragon's Tooth. There's I think it's 40-mile section there. It's on the ridge line. It's near Woods Hole Hostel. Great place. Yeah, it's a wonderful hostel. They do a farm. Oh, it's good food. But it's right off the trail there, and but that's a pretty secluded section. You know, you can even with people out there, you can still get away. Be by yourself.
What was the average weight of the pack that you would carry?
Usually, like in the wintertime, my pack will probably weigh like 56 pounds. But I'm not an ultralighter, you know.
If you're ultralight, it's gonna be you're gonna be cold, and it ain't gonna be happy.
Yeah. Now, weight's always a consideration,
of course.
You know, everything I have, I try to get the best, the lightest, and most things in life we pay for, it doesn't equate to quality. People buy the name brand, this, that, and the other. I have found when it comes to backpacking gear, hiking gear, camping gear, the more you pay for it, usually the better it's going to serve you. It's just the way it is. The lighter it is, the more expensive it is. Titanium stuff costs more than anodized aluminum, you know?
Yeah.
But gear is very personal and very specific. I would look for things that were light enough commercially, you know. But I don't mess around. I carry the extra weight for comfort. I don't want to, you know, shiver on a piece of Tyvek.
No, absolutely not. I think when you're committing to that time, you have to do it comfortably.
Yeah,
within reason.
Yeah, you'll toughen up. I mean, I'll be honest, my first day, I think I made it like 6.5 miles, and I had really overestimated my ability. You know, I always think like a younger me, a more fit me, and it's the old ego, and I got slapped in the teeth pretty hard. By the time I made it like 30 miles into it, wasn't ready to quit, but nutrition was already an issue. I was sick. I couldn't eat. My body was recoiling. It's like, what are you doing? You know, it's just, you know, dehydration. I learned a lot pretty quick.
I think that's the nature of the beast.
Oh, yeah.
So the front end is always going to be harder than the back end.
Oh, yeah. People always ask me, like, what do you do to prepare? I get fat.
Yeah.
There's no way to really prepare for doing 20 miles a day or 15 miles a day, 18 miles a day. There's no way to really prepare for it. You just kind of have to go do it. And once you get into it, a good friend of mine, we hike a lot, and she asked me, she goes, how do I get comfortable doing a 12-miler? I'm like, go do a 15.
Yeah.
You know, because once you do a 15, 12's nothing. Now, granted, elevation makes a big difference, like how much you're putting in, you know, gain and descent.
There was a big thing that I harp back on when it comes to those challenges, and you said it was about body fat, right? So start a little bit heavy.
Yeah,
right. It's going to make you a little bit slower, but if you start heavy, and this actually happened in the Falklands conflict in '82, where the Chinooks got taken out on, I think, whichever transport vessel. Anyway, the Argentinians bombed that. The Chinooks got taken out of the equation, and the guys had to walk.
Who?
The Chinooks.
Chinook.
CH-47.
Oh, I know.
That's why. Why am I correct? I'm not correct.
He's just being a wanker.
I just want to know how you pronounce that again.
Chinook.
Chinooks.
Anyway,
The
so
Chinooks.
America. They got taken out.
Well, that's cultural appropriating. Chinook is a Native American term. You're calling it a chin hook like it's a freaking boxing match over here, you heathen bastard.
I believe that's Inuit.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Aleutian. I think it's Inuit. I can't remember.
I wouldn't know the.
It's one of the fish, one of the salmon.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, they got taken out. Right. So the guys had to yomp, and tab from Goose Green all the way to Port Stanley, and have a couple of battles in the middle. So they had to do that, on foot. And all the guys that were Marine instructors in fitness, paratrooper instructors in fitness, had zero body fat on them. Every single one of them tabbed out.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the body fat to support the march, and it was the guys that had a little bit of extra on them that made it.
Yeah, there's been many of like a hotel that has a continental breakfast, or as hiker terms we call that resupply.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit there and literally just eat pats of butter, you crave fat.
Yeah.
And honestly, you get to a point where the fuse is lit. Everything becomes like your body doesn't really care about nutrition. It just wants calories because calories is fuel.
Calories count.
You kind of tend to your nutrition in town. Now, a lot of people are probably going to be like, this guy's an idiot. And I get that.
But when you're burning it, if you haven't got it, your body ain't going to sustain you.
No, and there's honestly a point to where I will get to that level of depletion. And I might hit a wall 3 or 4 times, in the first 300-400 miles. I'll hit that wall. But there's a point where you get so in tune that if I ate like a 200-calorie Nutri-Grain bar, I feel it. Now, my legs don't get tired, but I feel them drop performance. But I can tell when I need water, I get so...
And the body's telling you, this is what I need to pick up. It's a craving.
Oh, yeah. And you get really in tune. You almost know what you need. And you really become part of it. Like, I have grown... It sounds... So, I met a snake. Right. I was getting ready to go do the AT, and I was going up a place called Tinker Cliffs, doing a day hike. I was trying to hit them stairs and build my legs. This would have been, I think, late August, September. And I'm going up through there, and a black snake, or some people, not a black snake, a ribbon snake or a garter snake, garden snake, people call them different things, but it went across the trail. And it went up a bull pine, a little pine tree. And he was not quite eye level, but he came up in the tree, and I kind of leaned over and looked at him. And there was a moment where I saw him see me, right? That thing has consciousness.
Oh, absolutely. Of course it does.
I always thought reptiles were stupid animals, right? I took them for granted. Ants. Look at a carpenter ant. See a little black ant walking, put your thumb down in front of him. You'll see that moment where that ant goes, oh, shit, and goes the other way. It's consciousness. Nature, I'm going straight up hippie, y'all. But stay with me. No, I'm serious. Just because you don't understand what it's saying, it doesn't mean nature's not communicating. Even the basic, at the cellular level, life is life. It matters. It communicates. The fungus, the trees, the grass, everything. We don't listen enough.
No, nowhere near.
No. And I learned a lot. I would meet people on trail. I'd meet people who had retired from the Forestry Service, and I'd be going through a stand of poplars. 35-year-old poplar trees, and they're all dead, and I'd be crestfallen, I'd be broken. And then I'd run into this person, they would explain to me, no, this is normal, it's a natural life cycle of these trees. They're going to come back. And that helps.
Oh, poplars certainly will.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
See aircraft spraying and get mad because you think they're spraying poison to kill things. No, it's not poison, they're insects that are bred sterile. We've come a long way.
Right.
But conservation isn't leaving it alone, right? you can't leave it alone. That's why we end up with forest fires. And we can't let the forest companies manage the timber. You can't cut down old growth and established ecosystems and plant back pine trees and call it good. That shit don't work.
No.
Yeah. Keystone species.
California's the prime example of where that disaster is happening.
Look at Tennessee.
Right.
That's one thing I can say about Arizona. They're doing it right. When I got up into the San Franciscos above Flagstaff, beautiful mountain. But they open up the national forest there, the forest for native and any resident to come in and cut firewood.
Yep.
They clean it up. They do prescribed burns. They're managing it. Everything we've touched, which is everywhere on Earth, we have to manage now. We have to cull herds. We have to do everything necessary to preserve what we have.
And nature used to do that naturally.
Absolutely. Given enough time, nature will usually correct the balance. But and I'm not a global warming person, right? I'm not that guy. I think that's political. But for someone who
I agree.
For someone who cares, right? We don't give nature enough time to recover. Human impact and involvement usually is pretty rapid, right? And people don't care sometimes. It's not that they don't care. It's just they're not aware. They're wrapped up in their life. Life is a construct. You got to take the kids to soccer practice. I don't care about a little flower or a little frog until you figure out that little frog or that little flower supports 10 other species.
Right.
And that little stupid little flower, if you step on it, who cares? This is for the people that bring dogs on trail that are not therapy animals. If they're not allowed in high alpine areas, don't take them. It's disrespectful. If that dog steps on something, it takes 100 years. It probably will be gone. It will never come back. You got to be respectful, right? We got to preserve it. And I hate to call people out. I love doggos. I love them on trail, right? Love them, right? And another thing is, remember, it's the dog's hike, not yours. You got to watch the animal. You got to be compassionate. If a dog can't do it, don't drag him because he's loyal. He will follow you So it's the dog's hike, right?
Yep.
So
I get it.
I got off on my tangent there.
Not at all.
I'm trying to save the world.
Well, we've got to do that one step at a time.
Yeah.
And it's not through global governance.
No.
That's the last thing we should be looking at when it comes to that shit.
Yeah. When you take certain things like plants and little flowers and things like that, they may only grow in a certain region between a certain elevation. It's just, for example, say like 1,800 feet to 2,400 feet. It's the only place it's found on a southwestern exposure in this little mountain range, and then you realize there are not a lot of these little flowers.
I mean, right? it's really like some of the chanterelles.
Yeah.
If you pick every chanterelle
there's not going to be any.
Is there, don't expect it to be there next year.
Yeah.
So that to me is that is governance, and that's down to the it's very individual.
Yeah.
If you clean out the chanterelles on the side of your hill, don't expect them to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to be there next year. So you have to be respectful, and I get that.
Yeah.
And we need to be part of that ethic.
Yeah. It's
it's education.
It is.
And you'll get people that will just, oh man, I found the chanterelles. I clean them out. Look, I got 10 pounds of chanterelles. Did you leave any?
They're gone.
Well, okay. Well, and it's the same with
morels.
What's the ginseng?
Oh, ginseng, yeah.
Ginseng as well.
Yeah.
These guys are going in and raping the ginseng in the Appalachian Mountains here.
No, they've been doing that for years.
And they've been doing it for years and selling it to the Chinese, or where and it's mainly the Chinese market where it goes. But you are destroying that harvest. Why would you do that for a couple of bucks?
Yeah, I don't.
So now we come back to greed and all the unpleasantness of humanity.
I so I'll go out now. I'll go off the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's close to where I live, and there's sections of the old Appalachian Trail there. And I'll go out and pick up old sections of trail. And I like looking for plants, like native plants that are useful. There's one I found the other day, mullein. You can pick the leaves, and it's good.
Very good for you.
Oh yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah, well,
it could potentially, what I mean.
We're going to touch on something now that I think we can explore at length.
Yeah,
Is the the herbal remedies that we have at our fingertips that is being lost. We are losing herbal remedies for basic medical needs.
Oh yeah.
And the reason behind that, as we both know, has been the industrialization of medication, and we know the root cause of that, and it comes down to one name, right?
No, Rockefeller.
There you go.
Patented medicine.
And when you patent medicine, you're doing a great injustice to humanity. That's the biggest injustice I can think of right now, is how that one direction of medication has corrupted our system, where herbal remedies, quite frankly, are so much more effective than some of the shit that we are getting pumped down with now. How many people are on 9, 10, 11 medications? If I go to my doctor, and I love him dearly, and I say I'm only on one medication, he goes, "You're only on one medication?" I said, "Yeah, you're damn straight. I'm looking to be on no medication."
Yeah.
Because I know what Mother Nature gave us in God's creation, is quite sufficient, but we're losing that. And we're losing it because of the pharmaceutical industry that is corrupting us down to... we're on a very, very bad path when it comes to being able to medicate ourselves out of problems.
What amazes me that I can have the doctor read me my labs and then ask me if I'd be interested in getting back on cholesterol medication or for type 2 diabetes. You just told me my A1C is fine and my HDL and LDL and everything's fine. Why would I want to take that?
Why are you pushing that?
Oh, they that's what they do. And I get it. I mean, medication is never a cure. It's only to treat symptoms, right? Right. It's kind of like hiking.
What is it? Mental illness?
Oh, yeah.
Don't medicate it, treat it.
Yeah, well, that's yes and no. I guess it depends on the mental illness. Some mental illness can't be fixed.
Right.
You know, if it's a neurological condition, you can't rationalize it. You can't.
Bipolar is a horrible condition.
Yes, and especially,
and it does need medication.
It does, and it helps.
And I get that. So there is the counter argument.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not. For certain people, yes, 100%. For me, there are a lot of people. They make movies and things like that, and I guess even myself, I kind of thought hiking the AT was going to fix me, right? Hiking doesn't fix you. It doesn't. But what it does is it's like a pill. It treats the symptoms.
It gave you perspective.
It gave me perspective. Now, the difference between me now and then is several times out in Arizona on the Arizona Trail, I worked all day to get to a pass, and I could look out and see the evidence of like the Great Flood. You can see the ripples.
Of course you can.
It's insane, right? It reaffirms a lot. But no one's there. It was just me. But I look out and I would say I would not trade my life for anyone's. That's a big difference from that miserable son of a bitch from 3 years ago.
That's quite powerful.
Oh, it is. And I don't expect that I'll ever go back to that, you know.
Good.
No, why would I?
There's no way that you will, right?
No, there's too many trails. I actually, do I have it with me? I don't have, I do. I have to find it. So I was only going to do a one and done. I was going to do the AT and call it quits, right? That was enough. And,
you opened up a can of worms, didn't you?
Well, I found a challenge rock. People paint rocks and leave them on the trail. And I was in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and I had a I had a friend meet me, and we were just doing a little day hike. And I looked down and I saw it as a piece of seashell. And someone had painted a masted ship on the front. It was in acrylic, and it was really cute, you know, and they had shellacked it. So I picked it up and was checking it out, and I flipped it over, and it said, Suicide Prevention Rock, 100 100s for Dexter. I don't know who Dexter was, but my grandfather's name was Dexter. It's the weapon side of a shield, Dexter.
Yeah.
So someone cared enough about their friend that took their own life that they painted this rock, and I took that challenge serious. So I have 10,000 miles to hike. Yeah. And when I'm done, I'm going to go back to Harper's Ferry and put that rock down. So if y'all want it, go get it. But you might want to leave that bastard alone. But no, seriously. But there's like 11 U.S. scenic trails. I think they equal up to like 16,000. So I have the AT. I'll finish off the Arizona Trail, and then that leaves 9 more.
But you're getting a very spiritual experience from this.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any existential questions. My God is right where he needs to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to preach. It's just I don't have any unanswered questions. I don't need to figure out who I am. I know who I am. I'm just life. I'm consciousness. I'm a bioelectrical computer. And when I go out there, I'm part of all of it anyway. I'm just whatever my parents' bits and pieces of DNA that they got from my ancestors just trickled down to me. I'm just bunches of other people.
There you go.
And that's who I am.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
but if you know what, if you actually were to rewind and do the math on that,
yeah,
the likelihood and the probabilities of all of your ancestors from your parents to grandparents and beyond, all coming together, all of everything that so many people throughout history, dating back thousands of years, had to accomplish and had to do and had to survive for you to get here. You to get here. You know what I mean? For me, for Simon, for any of us, like it's people I don't really think can sit back and truly, I don't know if calculate is a term to use, but I don't think they can really grasp like the mathematical probability of you being born is so astronomically. Like you hit the lottery by just being born. I think that's a cliche that people don't pay enough attention to, and they don't really put it into perspective as much. They just kind of they just throw it off as another cliche. But
they squander.
You really do hit the lottery by being born. The mathematical probability is just ridiculous. It's crazy. And what do?
We piss it away. We bitch and moan about what we don't have.
Well, I mean, I think that's a beauty part about hiking, and maybe this speaks to a greater issue that we're seeing in society. But we pull up our phones and we see videos from cities that are just in chaos, and they're destructing, and it's vile and it's nasty, and that's from the dregs. There's still a lot of vitriol and hate coming from the more affluent members of society in these cities, where they're just dark, terrible, horrible human beings. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact is that. Who was it? I can't remember who said it, but they said, basically America's the first place to the prisoners build their own prisons and imprison themselves inside of, and that's talking about the modern city.
We allow the people who benefit the most to work on the problem and not solutions. When you're making $150,000 a year to work on the homelessness problem in your city, what incentive do you have to fix a homeless problem?
Nothing. You feed them a few meals and say, I'm doing
give them
something.
Needles.
Yeah. But I mean, it's even the good people in these cities, not good people, even the people that just go to work every single day and do what they're supposed to do and don't get, all in the mix of all this nonsense. Still for them, you're living in a concrete jungle, or you live in a little micro loft apartment where there's 1,000 people in your building, and then you might only walk a block or two to work. And maybe there's some people up there who've never even seen grass or seen a patch of land bigger than Central Park.
Absolutely.
I mean, they don't know. They have not connected them. They have their entire lives have never connected with nature. Like they have become prisoners, and I think a lot of that is we're starting to see the downhill effects from that, or they have been. And COVID really brought it out on a lot of people because they started realizing they're forced in their homes, but they always voluntarily do it anyway. They're always voluntarily in their little cubicles, they're always voluntarily in their little micro loft apartments, or voluntarily in this bar. They're voluntarily in New York City in the first place. You can't breathe there. You can't get outside. And so I think this has started to drive people mad. Over generations and generations of never getting out, it's starting to drive people mad in these cities. And that's the government side is a big part of it. But, and the decisions they're making and their boots being on their neck, that's a huge, massive part of it. But people have imprisoned themselves. They don't get out enough. They don't appreciate.
Fear is what kills the human spirit. It's that simple. Most people, I can't say most, that's so, but a lot of people will go through life and not do something because they're afraid of what could happen. And they will spend their entire life and never realize that fear. I won't go in the woods because I'm scared of bears, right? The
madness.
Probability versus possibility. Is it possible? Yes, anything's possible. Nothing's new under the sun.
But
is it probable?
Yeah. Let me ask you a personal question, and I'm very reluctant to ask it. Are you a combat veteran?
No, I am not.
And the answer to that doesn't really reflect on the question.
Yes.
But I think a lot of combat veterans have a problem with that reconnects.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I think that could be a root cause of some of the problems that we're seeing, that we're asking our guys to go out and put their lives on the line, and then come back to a society that has no
moral compass.
There's no moral compass to what they put their lives on the line for.
Oh yeah, for me, when I'll defend the right for anybody to protest, but when they started kneeling in the NFL,
no, how dare you kneel?
Yeah, well, I defend anyone's right to protest, right? If that's what you want to do, but it hurt me.
Absolutely,
it hurt all of us
because what was happening there was that they were using something that. How do I put this in words? They were hijacking something.
Oh yeah. Well, you would turn on the news and it was all but kill police officers on sight.
How dare you?
Oh no shit! Look at the shit. I can't remember when it was exactly, but it was that shooting down in Texas. Everyone ran behind the cops. Yeah. I mean, yes, are there bad apples? Of course. But I can tell you any law enforcement that I've ever worked with or been associated with, most of them, any ones that I know, now you always have egos and things like that. Small dicks, whatever got picked on in school. Yes. But most of them really care. And the
majority do.
Absolutely. And they sacrifice and they're wonderful people, good people. So, it's the narrative. It's what gets pushed. Let's shake up the hive, keep everybody mad, everybody fighting,
And there's the tragedy.
Divide and conquer.
We do not need to divide and conquer.
No.
We absolutely do not.
No, and it's so divisive. It's sex, race, religion, income, whatever it comes down to. It's all about.
But there's a narrative there that drives that, right? So we got to realize that the narrative behind that is actually evil.
Of course, 100%.
So when you accept that, you can take a step back and go, I don't need to partake in that. If I partake in that narrative, I'm actually part of the problem.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was so neck deep in everything going on with the election in 2020 and this, that, and other. Best place I could be was up in the mountains.
There you go.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I have no hate for government. Government's necessary, but people need to realize government's an idea, right? I can show you a government building. I can show you government property. I can show you a government employee, a government vehicle. Government, right? There's no accountability.
None whatsoever.
It's a frickin' idea.
Because, and that's because they have the hand in the social bank, where their hand is in the cookie jar of other people's money, and it comes down to greed.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's one of the greatest influences, to me of evil is greed.
Oh, yeah. And like the military, as I get older, my opinions have changed a lot of the military, and I love my service and I love my brothers, but I kind of see it in a different way. I kind of see it so I was poor white trash. I was born in Christiansburg, Virginia, on Christiansburg Mountain. We got our drinking water out of a rain barrel, and I shit in an outhouse till I was 10 years old.
There you go.
This was the 80s, not too long ago. For me, getting accepted into the military, it was a chance for upward mobility. I left my hometown before I got a jumpsuit,
And that is a common trait throughout humanity.
Absolutely. It gave me a lot. It gave me self-respect, esteem, and it gave me a chance to go to college. So I was able to rise above my station. Had I not left, it would have never happened. So they did me a favor.
Right.
Right. But the officers run the military; they own it.
Right? Well, and then it comes down to the Pentagon, and then it comes down to funding, then it comes down to political influence, blah blah blah.
It transfers to other places outside. Of course it does. And it's a lot of it's about upward mobility, not just for us, but for the kids of the people that actually own it. They're already at an advantage in station. They get to go a little bit farther. They get to go be doctors, and you know what I mean.
But with their hand in the public coffers of taxation and other people's money. The easiest thing to do as a politician is to spend other people's money.
Oh yeah.
And if we don't accept that and see that for what it is, and have checks and balances, which we don't have now.
No.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not a conspiracy guy per se. I just see shit for what it is. I really do. I see things so much clearer.
Well, yesterday's conspiracy theorist is tomorrow's truther. So, I mean, you're not really speaking in the conspiracy theory was all created. We talked about this on the show before by the CIA back during the Kennedy assassination for anybody that questioned the Warren Commission, for anybody that questioned the narrative was coined a conspiracy theorist. So, we've all found out about that later. And nowadays they've used it to, be a derogatory term towards anybody who thinks outside the box. So I take it as a badge of honor.
Oh yeah. I mean, I agree. It's what was that term we were talking about before we started recording? It was mass societal psychosis.
Psychosis. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Have you guys
wake up, folks?
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, you didn't at all.
Have you guys ever heard the old? I can't remember the university. They did the experiment with the 5 monkeys, and then it explains brainwashing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're talking about the one where they start off with 5, and then they like press a button or whatever, and one monkey stands up or whatever until they all stand up or something, and then the ones that don't stand up they take out and they put a new one in there. Then when they ring the bell, the original monkey stands up, then the new monkey stands up, and then they start interchanging until every monkey stands up, and they have no idea. Is that the one?
It's similar to that. They were dumping cold water on them if they would go for the food, and they didn't like having cold water dumped on them. So hunger, after like the 3rd time, one monkey went over to go get the fruit, and they pummeled him. They beat the crap out of him. So they removed him and put in one that had never been there. He went for the ladder. They pummeled him. The next time they pulled out one, put in another one, and he was beaten. So by the time it was all done, there were 5 monkeys that if they touched the ladder, they would kick the crap out of each other and not even know why. They had never had water thrown on them.
That's what it is. Yeah. Somewhere.
And then slowly starve to death.
I mean, yeah. And the biggest thing is ego.
I think it's funny you talk about the experiments and stuff. And I don't know, have you ever heard of the rat experiment, the rat utopia experiment or anything? Have you ever heard of that one? So basically what they did is they essentially gave rats everything they could ever want. Basically, all the food, all the necessity. They didn't have to work for anything. And eventually, the rats got to the point to where they stopped reproducing. They started doing nothing but grooming themselves all day long. They started...
Vanity.
Yes. That's exactly what happened. I mean, everything that you see is going on in the real world, exactly what happened. And, there's been a lot of different ones with the rats. One was the one where they put rats in a bucket of water. And usually they'll keep fighting for about 15 minutes, then they'll drown. And then they started putting rats in there. And right when they gave up, somebody would put their hand down. It's called the Hope experiment. Put their hand down and pull them back up. Dry them off, let them get their breath or whatever, rest for a bit. Then they put them back in. You know how long they would keep fighting then? 60 hours. Mm-hmm. Normally they give up after 15 minutes. But you read down there and you pull them out. Then the next time they'll fight for 60 hours thinking somebody's going to reach down. Somebody's going to pull us up out of this. So, there's a lot of crazy things.
That's about hope.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy things you can apply to a lot of these experiments and stuff that you really see and, here in real life these days. And I think when we get to what we're talking about here with the hiking and with getting in touch with nature, I think it's very important for everybody. I wanted to ask, what, in your opinion, was the most beautiful part of the Appalachian Trail? Like, what's the one spot you could say that's, man, this is what it's all about right here?
Oh, man.
And I bet there's more than one.
Oh, yeah.
Of course there is.
I can, for the most part, I did the whole thing, and then I probably got about 1,000 miles section hiking. I went and cherry picked, and that's a tough one. The Highlands are always nice. Roan Mountain, the Virginia Highlands. But honestly, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. And once you leave Virginia, you don't hit another 4,000-foot mountain until you hit Vermont. However, don't underestimate things like New York. And New Jersey really blew me away. I wasn't expecting. I had a preconceived notion, but no, it was gorgeous.
And that's actually a beautiful state. That was
it truly is.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to get away from, the stigma of Jersey City and what have you. But and my wife is from the New Township area, Hackettstown, and the Delaware Water Gap area, and it is absolutely stunning. And it brought me back. So I thought, this is very much like England.
I have a good friend of mine that has a hostel. I'll probably get it wrong. It's the Love Life Hostel, or is it Live Life? He's going to kill me. But his trail name's Not Today. He's a YouTuber, and he started a hostel this year. So I go up and visit him. He's actually in Mount Pocono, but
okay. So the Poconos and the
he works on
racetrack,
Delaware Water Gap. It's a pretty good piece.
It's absolutely stunning round there.
Oh, it is. It's beautiful. You can see you can see the remnants of what it used to be. It used to be a real destination location because of the beauty.
Yeah.
You look around now, you see the old dilapidated hotels. It's just like Route 66 off of the major highways. It's a part of America that's it's gone. It's not.
It's sad.
Yeah, people used to dress up in suits to go to baseball games and stuff like that.
Right on.
They on airplanes.
Yeah.
What I'm intrigued about your experience about Maine. Because Maine has been somewhere where I haven't been, and I would love to go.
When you step into Maine, you're somewhere different. It is. You just know you're somewhere different. It's similar. Most places on the Appalachian Trail, if you're at the same elevation, whether you're in Georgia, New York, Virginia, the plants are going to be the same. Honestly, if you plop someone down blindfolded and say, "What state are you in?" Most people, I would have a hard time telling.
Right.
Because it's Appalachian Mountains. They look the same.
But Maine is different.
It's wetter. It's totally different. New Hampshire's different. It's a crag. It's rocky. It's exposed balls.
Yeah.
It's granite. It's brutal. It's beautiful. It's like Mount Washington. It's got the highest winds recorded. What was it last year? They had negative 130. People die up there in June. They freeze to death.
Wow.
Where's this at?
Mount Washington in New Hampshire.
Wow.
It's, it's mountains may not be, like out west they're 14,000 foot and, you have big mountains but mountains don't care. A 2,000 foot mountain will kill you.
Oh, it's heartbeat.
Oh yeah. It's like hypothermia. You don't have to be in the Arctic to get hypothermia.
No. Joan has actually been, I believe, he's crested Mount Washington.
Huh.
So he's a big hiker.
I think the highest peak I've ever hiked was 14,000 feet.
Yeah.
I hiked into our car and we drove it straight to the top of Pikes Peak in Colorado and got out of the car and hiked over there to the edge and looked.
Oh dear, that wasn't really hiking, you lazy shitbag.
I hiked it. I walked down far enough and walked back up, and I considered it hiking. It wasn't very far, and I did it enough to where my wife was like, "Get off from it as soon as you fall off the side of the mountain." She was bitching at me. Actually, wasn't my wife at the time, but Pikes Peak, and it's wild up there. And the good thing about Pikes Peak, if you're somebody like me and you haven't done a lot of hiking, you don't really understand, elevations. Go to Pikes Peak because then you'll really understand tree lines. And what really happens when you get above those tree lines. Get above the tree line.
When you get above the tree line,
basically all that is trees can't grow up there anymore. The air is so thin, it's so cold that it looks like a desert up there, essentially, a desert full of rocks. So, you're 1,000 foot above the tree line just looking down, and it's crazy because it'll be, 90 degrees at the bottom of the mountain, and you get up there and it's 45 degrees tops, maybe. It could be hailing. You might get stuck up there for a hailstorm or so. It's just, it's crazy. It's something to behold. It really is.
Was it Mount Lemon or was it, I'm trying to remember the name. We came out of the valley floor and, it's close to triple digits out in Arizona. And by the time you get up to the top, I think we camped at like 8,500 feet. You're in the snow and it's 18 degrees.
Oh,
and that's a big difference.
Massive.
but well worth it. But you can tell, yeah.
What we're going to come back to, I want you to be. You've got a couple of books here that I'd love you to talk about, because I see you've come with them, and tell us about these two books that are very readable by the looks of them.
That's because you see pictures and you think there's going to be a lot of pictures in there.
There are,
but I'm seeing
that'll make it a lot easier on you, Simon.
They're not the massive, book about Alexander Hamilton that is 3 inches thick, and you better be a philosopher and a doctor to understand some of the verbiage behind it.
Yeah. So the first one is it's been out. It hadn't been out too very long. It's Virginia's Lost Appalachian Trail. The author, I don't know the gentleman, but his name is Mills Kelly. And basically, he did the legwork and did the research for there's a 300-mile section of the Appalachian Trail. It was originally 1937 when it was created, and then in 1952 they rerouted it. So the current location of the Appalachian Trail, when you cross over to Virginia, it goes up through Pearisburg and, it goes in the back of Dragon's Tooth, McAfee, and cuts back down through Troutville.
Right.
Before it came up, it went along like Iron Mountain, and pretty much where the Blue Ridge Parkway is now was the route of that 300-mile section.
So this is his experience of that particular route.
He came out and interviewed locals and talked to people that had knew of the history, and he covers a lot of the towns, how they were impacted by the trails. Basically, what it came down to is the National Park Service had more money than the Trail Conservancy, and they won. It was the 50s. Post-war boom, automobiles were the thing. So, and I'm not hating on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I think it's a wonderful road system, but it would be nice if the trail still went through there, because it's so beautiful.
But does it?
There are parts that still exist, and a lot of them, there's still trails, like Iron Mountain Trail. I went down and hiked it. It's down near Mount Rogers, just a little day hike. And so it is the original Appalachian Trail. They just renamed it another, like on the Blue Ridge Parkway, there's a Smart View. There's a 5 mile, I think it's 5 miles, or is it 2.5? It's a loop. Part of it's the original AT.
Okay, so these are things that people can achieve fairly easily.
Oh yeah, you can pull right off and they're right there. Like Rocky Knob, it's right. So if you go up Route 8, going through Floyd, Virginia, and where the Blue Ridge Parkway intersects, if you get on, I think you take a right and it's 2 miles, you'll hit the Rocky Knob overlook. And there's the only it was the original shelter that they had built from 1937 to 1952. It's the only original shelter. I'm from that area. My ancestors are buried in the mountains. My great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents. And I had no idea. And a friend of mine got me this book, and this guy, he did a great service, because stuff gets lost.
Now, what's the author's name?
Mills Kelly.
And the title of the book is?
It's Virginia's Lost Appalachian Trail. ISBN number? No. You can Google it. You'll find it.
Exactly. If you Google the damn thing.
Yeah.
But these things are out there, and those are day trails.
They are. They're good day hikes, and people with mobility issues. You can drive. Now it's a little bit of a little bit of a hike up to the shelter, but it's worth it. It's hand hewn wood. You can look and see where they took the ads. They did it on site.
Beautiful.
The stonework. And
yeah.
So it's nice, and no one's vandalized it, or, it's nice. And the other book I have with me is called The Adventure of a Lifetime. The author is a good friend of mine. His name's Carl Robertson. Sorry, Carl. He hiked the AT in 1974 when he was 14 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, it was...
how long did he take to do that? Roughly.
I don't...
okay. I mean...
Well, understand that...
But as a 14-year-old making that hike, goodness gracious.
14-year-old, it's a small book. I think it's 50 pages, but what it is, it's his journal. It's a 14-year-old voice.
That's beautiful.
Right? So when you read it, put yourself there, right?
Yeah.
But he tells of his experiences. He talks about all the trails that he did. You know, accomplished the Colorado Trail. And as a backpacker, I think Carl's, I'd have to do the math. But, you know, he's getting up there. He doesn't lay the miles down anymore like he used to. But but
it's authentic.
Yeah, we were sitting around a bonfire up in Pennsylvania, and he was talking about his experiences, and we told him, you know, you ought to write a book or get it published. You know, we never thought he would,
and he did,
Good and man. You know, he actually mentioned in his book, he gave acknowledgement to Reset, and he wrote me a nice, you know, handwritten note in it. But it's called The Adventure of a Lifetime.
I'll have to give those a look and give them a read. I love books.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that anyway.
I mean, these things, if they're not lost to time, thankfully they've been put down in print, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and that is so important.
I'm a little jealous of him. He figured it out at 14. It took me till I was 49 to figure it out. You know,
there's
better late than never. Always, you know, and everybody's, you know, got a different path. Everybody's got a different objective, and everybody comes to their terms at different times in their lives. So,
absolutely, smiles and miles.
Do you think? So for us right now, we're here in just south of Roanoke, Virginia. So for anybody listening that may be within a 150-mile radius of this area, what are some good day hikes that they can go to, and to be able to get some of the It doesn't have to necessarily be something part of the trail, but
sure.
But if there's anything around here that we might not be, I know McAfee's Knob, which I'm pretty sure that you know, they do a lot of they do some wedding announcements up there down below. And if I'm not mistaken, Isaiah owns that land down there, because James, that's how he proposed to his wife, went down there in the field and drew out, "Will you marry me?" I think Isaiah owns that land, which is a pretty profitable business venture to have. Go down there and make a big announcement. Shout out to him, Rickman Inc. They just did a Facebook page here recently, so go check them out. Isaiah's going to do phenomenal work for you, no matter what you need. They do a lot of the plumbing stuff, but he's got all the earth movers, things that you need.
And you could not look to employ a better man.
No, and somebody super freaking interesting. Which we'll have to bring you back on here if we get his buddy, but he's got a buddy that he went out and did some work for. I think the guy used to know his grandpa, and he went out there and did some work for him in Alaska for a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this guy that he went and did the work for, he's the first person to ever fly a plane over the North and South Pole.
Oh, no kidding.
And he still flies around in the same plane that he flew those in like 50 years ago. So I'm trying to get him to fly down here at some point, because he usually makes cross-country flights every year to come fly back into here with Isaiah and do a show with him, because because Alaska's a place. You know, we think about the hiking sites. There's so many places out in this world that I would love to go that you really can't get to by car, and that a lot of times you don't want to get to by car. You want the experience.
That's when you found it. When you can't get there by car,
you want the walk. You want the experience, and you get out there. Alaska's it looks so beautiful on TV. Like somewhere I'd really like to go. Just look at nothing for a day straight. You know, like you said, maybe eat. Like, find a magic mushroom or something and just sit on the top of a knoll and just watch a valley for a day straight.
I want to do shit by boat when it comes to that. I mean, I'm a boat guy, but doing it by plane, by boat, by chopper, not by car.
The first
the adventure.
The first rule is don't get dead, right? You pay. Don't take things for granted. And I'm being 100% serious on this. You know, check the weather, right? Look at what you have to do. If it's inclement weather,
be prepared.
Yeah,
and sometimes you don't have to go. You know, it's.
Well, that's good. Survival tips for the trail. What are some precautions you do have to take? I mean, obviously you have your cell phone. Sometimes you can solar charge it if you need to, but
I usually carry a battery pack. And then usually your phone stays on airplane. Like, I'm looking to get away from that, but I'll use like All Trails, or it used to be called Gut Hook. Now it's called Far Out. So I'll use that to help with navigation and things, but the trails are marked. There's white blazes. It's, all you gotta do is kind of pay attention, and it's not hard. I never felt threatened. I never felt like I needed a weapon or, anything like that. But then again,
Is it still smart to take one, though?
No, it doesn't belong there. It's just weight anyway. No, weapons don't belong out there. Granted, like on the AT, you'll find some what I call trail hobos. They're people who live out there. You can usually tell by what they have with them, their supplies, their equipment, something like that. But they don't. You just fill them out. It's everybody. We all have to be somewhere, and it's a public space.
I meant more for wildlife, though. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean humans are probably the most dangerous of all wildlife. But no.
That.
Yeah, I mean, like Arizona, everything wants to bite you, sting you. Get you. If you go up in Wyoming and Montana, you got stuff that could stomp you and eat you, and so it's calculated risks. I mean, you know what I mean. If you're scared, don't do it, I guess. And if you want to go do it, I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
There you go.
Yeah, figure it out. Time alone is a beautiful thing.
I think that's what you need in abundance, is time. And therein lies the crux of the problem. We are now, all on such short time.
Oh yeah.
We can't. Oh, I can't do this because I can't do that because if I had the time,
if you wait, you're not going to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to pass you by. And I'm not saying everybody do what I did. I kind of got really irresponsible and just packed everything. My whole life is still in a storage unit.
There you go.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and I don't kind of worry about what people think or if they judge my lifestyle. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm the only thing that matters. I sound so selfish.
Yeah, but it's not though, is it?
No, I'm getting my life back. It's all my time.
Yeah.
It's when you wake up and you realize you have nowhere to be other than where you decide to be in life. Was it Janis Joplin that said freedom is having nothing left to lose, or something like that?
It was something like that. But that concept, we need to gravitate back to that.
Oh, we overcomplicate stuff.
Oh,
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Got off on a tangent.
Yeah.
On Isaiah, but what are some good hikes around here locally people can use just to get back in touch? So you want to go out for a day, hike 4 or 5 miles? I mean, I know you got the Cascades up in
Cascades is a good hike.
Pembroke and
there's a really good hike. It's in Allegheny, Camp Altamont. It's named after a Civil War soldier. He came home on leave. He was in the Navy and was showing up Stiles Falls. He was showing off on the cliffs and he fell to his death.
Oops.
Yeah. So there's Stiles Falls. There's a really nice place. I'm trying to remember the name of it, Montgomery County. It was a big farm and they turned it into a nature preserve. But there's waterfalls. Yeah, it's about 5 miles worth of trails. There's some old lime kilns and where they've dug out, like there's natural caves.
There's actually a small trail up here when you cut over to Callaway Road and then go up into, it's on the Roanoke County, Floyd, Franklin area, and there's a beautiful little falls hike in there where you can get to a falls. And I forgive me, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I'm
or the name of it.
I'm from Montgomery County originally, and I'm struggling to think of the name of this.
And it's actually very close, and I haven't done it. Shame on me.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to take the girls up there, and I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, get out there and enjoy nature.
Yeah. We're bipedal. We're supposed to be walking. It releases feel-good chemicals.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah.
We all need to do it.
I think so. Well, not everybody, because then you're going to mess it up for me. I
get it.
well, at least everybody out there finds somewhere close to you. Doesn't necessarily have to be, travel over here and tromp out everything in Appalachia, but find nature close to you. Even if it's a river or a pond that's away from people, you can really pull yourself back by sitting down on a rock and listening to the river pass by.
Yeah, watch ants. Watch ants play. You don't have to go do a 2,000-mile hike to enjoy nature.
Absolutely.
If you're able to spend your day walking through a park, that's enough.
Get back with nature.
Oh yeah, sit on the grass. It ain't gonna get you. It ain't gonna get you.
Get your hands dirty.
Yeah. If you're scared of it, figure out what it is. Like people are like, "Oh, it's poison oak." No, it's not. You're fine. Like, don't be scared to go over there. But if you don't know, figure it out. It's that simple.
Yeah, we've got the world at our fingertips now with these phones. You can get on there. You can order books. You can look up things. You can figure out there's trail guides. There's guides out there to tell you which plants are good, what they're used for. I mean, you can really do your research and have these things available at your dispense whenever.
Embrace nature. Go back to herbal remedies.
Yeah.
Right? Let's get back there.
Yeah.
Because, the days of, what was that nasty fella's name? Rockefeller,
yeah, patented medicine.
Let's get away from that. Let's get back to herbal remedies.
Remember back in the 80s and early 90s, used to be that infomercial come on TV all the time, the home book of home remedies or whatever, and they would have they would be promoting this thing like crazy all the time on every single channel you could think of back in the day. You had 30 or so channels in the early 90s, but every other commercial would be the whatever book of home remedies, and it would tell you 100 different things that you could use around your household. But they don't promote that stuff anymore. Now they promote, a pill for this or a pill for that, or go see this specialist for this or this specialist for that, and they get you in this everlasting cycle of perpetuity where you just can't claw your way out of, because now you've convinced yourself that you need this, and in order to need this you need that, and they keep you sick and they keep you dependent.
Well, you've touched on before we just start closing this down. You've touched on a very valid point. Is all we see now on TV, for those that look at it, is a perpetual cycle of pharmaceutical ads, and quite frankly, they were only allowed fairly recently, right? Mm-hmm. So that was done through lobbying, and I would be a very firm proponent of banning pharmaceutical companies from advertising on TV.
Wait a minute. Are you suggesting that it's a conflict of interest if this news segment telling you to go get the vaccine is sponsored by Pfizer? You think that's a conflict of interest?
Oh, you picked up on that too, huh?
You knew where that was going, right? If you're going to swing around and ban cigarette advertising and alcohol advertising, we better start thinking about banning pharmaceutical advertising and getting back to the grassroots of homeopathic medicine.
Yes,
because it works. My wife, she makes a elderberry syrup with cloves and all sorts of goodness. I haven't been sick. My girls haven't been sick with all the colds, flus, and shit that goes around. We give them this elderberry syrup that she makes, and it knocks the shit out of it.
You know, it's funny, if you think back, there was a time in like cinema Hollywood, they were coming out with the movies and they were telling us that just about all the medicines are derived from plants, right? And that's not to say that compounds aren't extracted. There are a lot that are.
Oh, absolutely, right? But they're all extracted from natural, normally from the Brazilian forests.
Yes, normally. Or was that a PR campaign to make us okay with patented medicine? Now I'm going straight on conspiracy.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
But patent medicine is the absolute enemy.
Yeah.
Of all of us.
Good intentions.
They weren't even good intentions, because it was monopolizing pharmaceutical medication, and now they've monopolized the fact that they can advertise this shit ad infinitum with how many? Oh, you can take this for whatever ailment, but here comes the results. You may have anal bleeding, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And I'm going to go straight to that point. Why not, right? Because I find it highly offensive that all the side effects from pharmaceutical medication, which is petrochemical medication. Thank you. What's the arsehole's name? Rockefeller.
Well,
and we seem to think that this is an acceptable way of being bombarded. It's a bit like mainstream media. They're redundant. Pharmaceutical medication is redundant. Get back to your grassroots. We know how we can cure ourselves, and it doesn't require some PhD arsehole who's got into some freaky form of medication that is being punted on the mainstream media and being advertised and rammed down our throats. What a crock of shit is that?
Well, they maximize their profits and
there's no interest in our health whatsoever, because when you look at the side effects, guess what? the side effects are going to kill you quicker than the cure.
I worked for an insurance company for like a year. I don't do cubicles, but I worked there for a year. You know, as long as a medicine has a patent on it, they're making top dollar. It's on the formulary. And then after the patent runs out and the medicine's cheap, it's more available because people can quote unquote afford it. The insurance doesn't want to pay for it.
Like ivermectin?
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. No, but they get some random organization in Florida to write a study saying that it's bad for old people, and just based off of that,
right?
And they take it away.
Who wrote the study? Who supported the study? Oh, the very lobbying company that was proposing to push it down our throats.
It's all a racket.
Wake up! It's a racket. It's racketeering, and quite frankly, if we don't quash pharmaceutical advertising, and we need to ban it, because that is all we get now.
You just gave me a good idea for a show. We should do a show at some point in time where we do nothing but bring on somebody that can talk about home remedies, things, plants. Because, dandelions are considered a weed around here, but they're a delicacy in a lot of parts of the world. Like dandelions,
they are great for high blood pressure.
You could turn it into teas. Like
dandelion tea is superb.
Also, dandelions, they say they take them and they deep fry them or something like that, and they turn them into and we consider it a weed.
My grandfather used to make dandelion wine in big crocks. My grandfather was a moonshiner. Actually,
there we go.
Yeah. We've had plenty of.
Not Franklin County, but Shooting Creek, Virginia.
Okay.
Well, Floyd County.
The water up there runs down into Franklin County. So
yeah.
Actually, the last 2 episodes ago we had Philip Gibbs on here. He was talking about Shooting Creek and how back in the early 20th century, early 1900s, whatever. I mean, they had a fortified mountain retreat up there that could hold out the United States military. Essentially, I mean, they were. If
you didn't make it. If someone in your family didn't make it, chances are the other family members run it. They transported it. And now by the time I came along, my grandfather didn't run a still. He still had it, the worm and everything, the pot and everything was in the basement. He made everything in crocks and cheesecloth. He made dandelion wine, peach brandy.
Yep.
Jams.
And all of these herbal essences and tinctures, in my mind, actually eradicate modern pharmaceutical practices because they are really based on petrochemical products.
Yeah.
So why? And again, we are being bombarded left, right, and centre. You turn on the TV, you are going to get a pharmaceutical ad telling you that if you've got this problem, we can cure it. But here are the side effects, and they're more likely to kill you on the QT way quicker than the actual problem that you are encompassing.
But they might not be more willing to kill you faster if you just go over here and get this other pill we have to take care of that.
So, this is one of the things that just drives me insane, because everything is here in nature, in God's creation. Mm-hmm. To help us thrive, it's going to help us thrive. Natural cures and natural remedies. How dare you poo-poo that? It really fucks me off. How dare you do that? And it's done by Big Pharma. It's done by lobbyists. It's done by the medical practice, and I despise every last one of them. And then the politicians swing round and they support the whole damn lot. And quite frankly,
that's where the money's at.
That is that, and it's all about greed, power, and control. So stop messing with us. Stop ramming this shit down our throat. Stop advertising. Just stop all of this shit.
Oh, but you got to have it. You have to have insurance. You have to have access to medical care. You have to have these pills or you might die.
Make sure you're insured, because then I can dual price you on everything. Because if you're insured, I can jack the price up. If you're paying cash, I'll give you a lower price. If you're paying through Medicaid, I'll give you another price. So we're talking about triple, quadruple pricing of products that is horseshit that can be provided in nature.
Go to the hospital.
That is God's cure.
Go to the hospital, have an emergency, and then have them hand you the bill, and something minor, but a $40,000 bill, and you look at them and be like, I can't afford this. I don't have insurance. Oh, you don't have insurance? I'll turn around, $4,500.
Yeah,
that is
if you pay cash.
If you pay cash, $4,500.
You're talking about dual, triple, quadruple pricing.
I'm paying $100 for 2 freaking Tylenol to go up. I'm like, if I want to pay $100, you better at least give me an entire bottle, and it better be some good stuff, not just Tylenol.
Give me some morphine.
The whole,
exactly.
The whole billing cycle is so you cannot grasp the billing cycle of the pharmaceutical or medical industry based on that whole premise, right? So we know it's bent, and I am all for getting rid of that shit. Stop advertising. You should not be allowed to advertise because you're the worst drug that we could possibly put in our bodies, way over fucking nicotine.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say I've dropped 2 F-bombs in the space of 2 minutes? I do apologise. I'm very emotional about this. Stop fucking with us.
Well, you should be. And I mean, you somebody who's had to deal with it before. You know, I spoke with a gentleman through my job, and I talk to him every time I get a chance to do it out in Lynchburg. But, you know, he's telling me he got cancer, and, you know, he went for his first treatment. And he went to his first treatment there in the hospital in Lynchburg or whatever. And when he got done, it might have been chemo or whatever it was. When he got done, they handed him a Little Debbie and a Coca-Cola. And he just kind of looked at him. He was like, this is the shit. It probably gave me cancer in the first place. And I'll just get done with this treatment. And this is what you hand me. He said, this is an absolute joke. So you know what he did? He ended up doing his research, and he found a place down in Mexico called like Oasis Cancer Treatment or something like that, where you go down there and they put you strictly on a completely crazy non-processed food diet where they monitor everything you eat there for cancer-free.
Yeah.
And never come back.
Oh, just cancer medications. I used to work as an express courier. I've done a lot of stuff, but everything was insured. Cancer medication. It will blow your mind what people spend just to try to live.
But that's through insurance.
Thousands.
So
yeah. People mortgage their homes. They lose everything.
Well, that's how you keep the people in perpetual slavery. That's how you do it right there.
I mean, I've gone through the chemo and the radiation treatment. And let me tell you, it's miserable as cat's piss.
You're sick.
And I, you know, I would have died probably a couple of years ago. No question about it. It would have killed me. So I'm thankful for that level of medication, but one has to question, did the medication prolong my life, or did it come close to killing me too?
Maybe both, honestly.
One has to ask the question.
Mine's not I don't argue with it if it works, but my problem's the cost. How can you in good conscience charge someone that much money? Also,
when there are alternatives out there. So the whole pharmaceutical debate, I've got a big problem, and always have had, with big pharma, the medical industry, because it's an industry. It's got
100%. Yes,
it's an industry derived from making profit from insurance. So I put insurance behind it. The medical industry and pharmaceutical companies are quite frankly all disgraceful. And I can swing around and say, well, that treatment may have saved my life.
But you can still see it for what it is.
But I see it for exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm thankful for being here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But how did I get to that level of treatment? And some of the side effects are not pleasant, let me tell you. And I continue with them today. So I've got some real big problems with that triplicate of industry that is derived from governance and government to take every dollar out of every person's pocket, but not provide a cure.
Sure. I think that, like, I don't mean to crap on anybody. I think that there are a lot of people that work in the medical profession who are well-intentioned. You know what I mean? They mean well.
I think there are.
I tell you,
but they have been crushed, I think, with their Hippocratic oath to embrace the business rather than the care.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that to me is a cause of concern. Absolutely, I'm thankful for being alive.
Yeah,
but let me tell you, there was more to it.
There's a lot of similarities here, between the medical industry and, in my view, the military. There are a lot of people on the ground levels that are doing some great things, and they're doing it for the right reasons, and they're doing it for purposeful reasons. But the higher up you go, when they start weeding out the people here and there who might be more qualified to do the job, but they don't quite play the game quite as well.
Yeah.
And then you start getting towards the top. And then you start getting to the people that really are, you get on your knees. Yes, man, I'll do what you tell me to do. And I'll do it to the point where I'll force everybody below me to do it. Although it might not be ethical or moral, I'll still do it because I'm in this position of power now. And I think the medical industry it's the same thing. You get to the nurses are great. The candy stripers are great. The people who are keeping the hospitals clean, the maintenance people, they're all great. But when you start getting, and even a lot of the doctors are good, when you start getting to the administrators, you start getting to the people pulling the strings, just like the military. For the most part, they're corrupted. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Not all of them, but they start thinking on a different level. And that really doesn't help the people below them like they...
Well, they've corrupted them as well. So now you've got, lower underlings thinking that the booster shot is the way that you should go. And they are still punting this booster shot for COVID, which is complete imaginary bullshit in my mind. They are still punting, and the government is still supporting the CDC in how they practice medicine. And quite frankly, it is absolutely flawed because we've now got so many medical professors that have counter arguments that are supported by science, and they're still punting, oh, this is the science. Well, I've got to tell you something. Something is horribly flawed here. And when it comes down to, whether it's folks in Carillion saying, well, I'm sure we're going to look at reinstituting the mask and the bullshit that goes with it. Get another booster. Absolutely not.
I just want to be objective on one thing. I agree with most of it. It's not even a matter of agreeing with, but like you take like people in high-ranking positions. I don't think that they're always corrupt, or maybe even sometimes people at the top are usually isolated from what actually is going on the ground. Nobody wants to tell them the truth. And I only know this because I'm the guy that wherever I work, if somebody important comes by, I'm the guy they hide. They get me out of there because I tell the truth. And people don't like the truth. It's,
Well, the truth is not supported by their scientific evidence. And the evidence is scientifically not true.
No, not at all.
And we've got a problem there.
Well, we're staring down the barrel because they're starting to...
Well, it's coming.
They're starting to ramp the stuff back up now. They're talking about their... And you had said something about on the phone last week about them not... Because you did your hiking during that whole lockdowns and stuff, that they didn't recognize your...
No, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy didn't recognize my through hike or anyone else who completed it if you were on trail during a certain date. So, we didn't get credit. But I did get credit for the through hike through the, it's called ALDA, Appalachian Long Distance Trail Association. Not that I really need their...
you don't, but because that's ridiculous. How can they,
Oh, no, it's just dereliction on their part. I don't know anyone at the ATC personally. Really don't care to. I don't think I'd have a lot in common with them. They're being a member of the ATC, in my mind, allows them to put a brass plaque on a building somewhere or a park bench so they can be remembered for their quote-unquote contribution. However, I don't know, being someone that did the whole thing, I just know that part of their charge or one of their functions as a conservancy is to preserve the history of the Appalachian Trail. All right, so because I broke your arbitrary rules, I believe being outside was the best place to be.
Roger that.
I'm not responsible for anybody's health and welfare. Don't put that shit on me.
No.
Yep. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you put up a statue of Fauci I will be the first guy there. I will be the first guy there pulling it down.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it.
Well, now come on now, Simon. Earlier you said, don't you dare pull down a statue because
I'll pull that motherfucker
you can't
down.
Erase history.
No,
they should have a statue of him. They should put it somewhere where everybody can walk by it every single day and be reminded of what a feckless coward and bootlicking sack of shit he was. And not only for this, you can trace his stuff back to the AIDS day when he was giving everybody that had AIDS AZT, which has already been proven to be a failed cancer treatment that was killing all the patients. And then all of a sudden he starts giving, Arthur Ashe, look how fast Arthur Ashe died. I know that's a little bit before my time, but look how fast he started taking it. He didn't want to take it. They're like, oh, you need to do it. AZT, boom, he's dead fast. That's a Virginian.
Yeah, and I like, again, people are easily ruled by fear, right?
That's
and that's, but the thing that got me is, they were padlocking outhouses and stuff, and they didn't do maintenance. They shut water off in the parks, and water is something that's necessary for life, and we paid for it. You guys are shutting it off for why? You're trying to discourage us from using public lands. I hate to tell you, but Appalachian Trail Conservancy, the Appalachian Trail is not yours; it's ours. Right? You're supposed to coordinate between all the state, federal, private landowners to keep the trail operational. You're supposed to pump the shit out of the privies once in a while. That's the disease you need to worry about. It's disgusting in a lot of them. You guys aren't putting the money in the right places. You're building museums and stuff, which again is part of their function. But don't forget about the hikers. All right, the trail's there for all of us. It's mine. It's yours.
Yeah.
And then it technically it is the ATC's too. But now, granted, to be fair, it has been designated as a national park, right? So there is some control from the National Park Service. But again, it's ours. It's it's a living thing.
Well, yeah, it's ours. Literally and metaphorically speaking, or figuratively speaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we do pay the tax dollars that are supposed to go in and keep this place up.
I respect it. Now, again, ego plays into a lot of things, even healthcare. You were talking about doctors. It's kind of hard to get treatment. You're going up against somebody's ego. They're the professional. They know better,
Therein lies the problem.
Therein lies the problem. And most modern medicine, and again, I'm not a doctor. I just have opinions. But most modern medicine, we want to break things down, like working on a car. You got the cooling system, the fuel system, the braking system. We do the same thing to the human body. Well, I hate to tell you, it's all connected. You can't treat the brain without treating the heart. You can't. You got to treat the whole organism. And knowing better doesn't always fix things. Sometimes you might want to listen to your patient.
Well, there's such an element of arrogance behind it, and
that's the human condition.
It's very disturbing that we've allowed that to control our lives. And I'm going to leave it at that before I get too heated.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty good at a stopping point here now. We went on for a couple of hours, and once again, the good thing about these shows is every time we bring on a guest, we always start figuring out things that we should have talked about, could have talked about, which means it's going to be that much better to bring you on here again sometime. Maybe after you get done hiking the rest of the Arizona Trail, you can come back here and talk about that a little bit with us, and the differences and things of that nature, because I'm somebody that can appreciate the beauty, and I love it. It's one thing I love about my job, and regardless if this podcast took off and I made $100,000 a year comfortably, I would probably still do my job, because it takes me within a 150-mile radius of Roanoke every single day, somewhere different. Every day, somewhere different in Appalachia. Sometimes going down different back roads, seeing different beautiful places. I'm learning what's driving these people, what's putting them down, where their thoughts are at. And that really helps me with this show. It also helps me be able to connect and understand people to a greater degree. So I think we're extremely blessed to call Appalachia home. I think we're extremely blessed to have these mountains. And they're not the same as the Rockies or the Tetons or out west, but they're different. And you have to be able to appreciate the beauty that they offer. And I'm going to tell you what, I don't care. Even if you can't get out there and hike, even if you can't get out there and find some of these other places, just driving Interstate 40 from Kingsport, Tennessee to Asheville and seeing some of those views, or going 460 from Blacksburg to Princeton and seeing some of those valleys going up through Pembroke, or driving 122 through Bedford County down into Big Island and seeing, the valleys down through there and watching the skyline, Blue Ridge Parkway.
Phenomenal.
It's just, I love it. And I want to encourage people to get out there and do it too. Not only for your physical self, but for your spiritual self too. Get out there and find places that you can go connect with nature, and you can sit down and you can listen to the streams. You can listen to the birds, the cicadas, the crickets, walk on grass without any shoes on. Let that grass hit your. I do it with my kids all the time. Like, the wife, well, let's put some shoes on. No, let them go outside and let them feel the grass. Like, I think there's a connective energy that we can all gain by having our feet touch grass, by looking up at the sky, by looking at the sun.
Go walk through a creek.
Absolutely, get yourselves wet. Figure it out. I think there's so much we can do, and I mean this is a small part of it, but I think, this is a huge part of it at the same time, especially for all the things we've been doing with this show and what we've been doing to encourage people to better themselves, through activism, through getting out there and letting them know you're not putting up with this nonsense. And it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on, but spiritually, this is a great way to do it too. We encourage people.
I want to bring this up. There are certain rules as far as hiking etiquette, right? You never talk religion. You never talk politics. It doesn't belong. If the other hikers start doing it at a public shelter or campsite, you stop them. It doesn't belong, right? This is a forum. This is where you do those things.
That's etiquette. Trail etiquette.
It is great etiquette. And I know we're trying to wrap it up, but I have a screenshot of something that I saw on Facebook. I hate to give them bastards credit, but here we go. In this life, we're all just walking up the mountain. And we can sing as we climb, or we could complain about our sore feet. Whichever we choose, we still got to do the hike. I decided a long time ago that singing made a lot more sense, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's,
amen.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, get out there and do it, appreciate it. Be among living things.
Embrace nature and be at peace with your God.
Yeah, absolutely. 100.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop. And the next time we do a show, maybe since you live up here in Floyd, you're quite a bit closer to Simon, right there at the end of 5 Mile Mountain. So maybe we'll do the next show up there. We'll bring down Brandon, Smokey the Appalachia Stanley. We'll have a good long talk about,
there we go.
Everything that has to do. Speaking of which, tune in for our next couple of shows. I think, like I said earlier, next week we're going to have Buddy Hancock from Appalachian Smokehouse, or better known as Rocky Mountain Smokehouse here in town. We're going to talk to him about quite a few things, see where his path has taken him the past couple of years. It's crazy. When I had him on the show a couple of years ago, he was like guest number in the top 10, top 11 or something. And I'm sitting there listening to him tell me all these stories about, cooking for really famous people that come to the Harvester, and then requesting him to come over there and cook him a steak or something on the side. And here we are 2 years later, and I've managed to stick with this show, and I've given him the opportunity to cook for some really cool people. Like we had Spike up there, and I've actually had the ability to meet some really cool people along the way to be able to incorporate those stories now with him. So we're looking forward to that. And then hopefully in 2 weeks, we're going to go up to Claytor Lake, hang out with some people. And I'm hoping after that hangout, we go back to Brandon's homestead up in Floyd, and we sit down with BR of Bloody Revolutions, who is also an anti-government Brit just like you, but quite a bit more youthful. And I'm hoping we can sit down. I'm not going to push that one. He's coming in from Knoxville, but if he'll be willing to do it, I'd love to sit down, and hopefully that's going to be our show 2 weeks from now. So stick around for that. Give us a follow. Are you on Facebook or anything like that where people can follow your travels and look at pictures or anything? Do you have a site or a page?
No, I mean, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and that's mostly just to state. But I don't post a lot. I don't want to be that person that's like, hey, look at me, I'm having my best life.
Yeah, I don't. Fantasy shit. Yeah, get rid of it.
It's hard for me too. You even look at the podcast page on Facebook. I might post once a day or every couple of days. It's hard for me to.
I worked as a PI for a while, so I've shot a lot of video and edited shit. And it's work. I don't want to do it. You know.
Fair enough. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. But hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. It was awesome.
No, we had an absolute blast. I can't wait to do it again. I'd love to bring you back. And thanks for
thank you for being here.
What's your name? Jody LaFleur?
Jody, friend of mine.
Special thanks to her. She's the one that reached out to me months ago and said, hey, you should get in touch with this guy. His story's phenomenal. And I can't think of anybody better to bring on here and talk about the trail. I think that's a massive part of what Appalachia is all about. So thank you for coming on, and thank her for reaching out to us. Other than that, patreon.com/getontap. Go there, $3 a month minimum. You can subscribe. All the money that you send us is going right back into shows like this, going right back into preserving Appalachian history and doing all this kind of fun stuff. At Get On Tap for Twitter. Simon on Tap for Twitter or X or whatever it is now. He's got that now, so look out for our new spaces coming up here in the future. And, of course, you can find us at the Appalachian Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, which I've kind of started to move away from because I'm getting shadow banned. And I don't want to give them my time or my money anymore if they're not going to show my content to people when I've worked really hard to build a fan base. So go over to Twitter. That's where we're more active at now. And or X. And sign up over there because you get better conversations. And hopefully Simon's going to be joining us here in the near future for some of them.
Once I figure that crap out.
It'll be okay. So, William, thank you so very much for your time. Simon, we'll see you next time.
Roger that.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Nice one.
Signal while changing lanes. They pulled him over, found her cocaine. She said, I love you. Yes, I love you forevermore. If you tell that cocaine load is yours. He spent time locked up. She ran around. Everyone knew it. Small country town. While he lay rotten, Lord, she was blowing on his door. And the day they released him, well, he had nowhere to go. Lord, and his ashes to ashes, and you know it's dust to dust. Just another low down woman that a man can trust. They released him. No one was there. Had she forgotten? Did she still care? He called up her mama, Lord, and these words he heard her cry. Lord, that no good daughter of mine spend all your money on cocaine, overdosed and died. Lord, it's ashes to ashes, and you know it's dust to dust. just another low down one that a man can't trust. In the spring, one sunny day, my good gal left me and she went away. Now she's gone, I don't worry, because I'm sitting on